Hey guys, back with another video, an impressions video on The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky on Steam. Just finally beat this game on Steam, and this is a game that I've been wanting to play for a long time. I know you can get it on PSP, and actually Vita. I have a Vita that I could have probably downloaded it on for the past while, but I don't know. I don't know. I kind of wanted to play it on Steam, and it was on sale for like... It wasn't on sale for much, like 15% off, but I mainly wanted to support Xseed with this. They put a lot of effort into getting this on Steam, and I know they're working on the second chapter and try and get that on Steam, which they haven't set an exact release date. I think somewhere around like early 2015 at this time. Now, the Legend of Heroes games, there's a bunch of them, and actually what is there? There's the, I guess what are they called? The Dragon Slayer games or something. I think those were Japanese only games that never made it to North America. Then you had the Gagharv trilogy, which that trilogy did actually make it out to North America on the PSP. And that was my first exposure to this series. I played the original Legend of Heroes, which is actually Legend of Heroes 2. And the second one on PSP was the first one, which makes no sense to me. I don't know why they would do that. And I gotta say, it was a long time ago that I played The Legend of Heroes, but I remember not caring for it too much. I thought it was kind of bland. I'd like to go back to that trilogy at some point, but I don't remember really liking that game. But Trails in the Sky got a lot of hype and praise when it came out on the PSP. And, you know, yeah, you know, it's always a game I want to play. There's also the Kiseki trilogy, which I don't know if that's ever going to come out in North America, which is kind of like Legend of Hero, this trilogy, the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky trilogy, but there's like an ease type battle system with those games. So I actually would really love to play those three, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get those games. But Trails in the Sky, I'm glad I finally got around to this. It was a long game. It took me 45 hours to beat, which I was not expecting at all. On howlongtobeat.com, it said it was like a 35-hour game was like the average, so I was surprised to see that it took me 45 hours, but I did do most of the side quests in the game, at least all the ones I could find. But let's talk about this game in more depth here. I guess I'll start out with the story. Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but Trails in the Sky has a very lighthearted story right up until the very end, where it gets quite a bit darker, and it ends off on a cliffhanger. I'm not going to spoil that, but it's well known at this point, and that's why people really want that next the second chapter, because the cliffhanger it's a doozy. It really makes you want to immediately play the next part. But it's a very lighthearted game. You play as Estelle Bright. I guess there's kind of two main characters, but you kind of live with your dad, Cassius Bright, in the town of Rolent, and basically the game starts with Estelle at a very young age, and Cassius brings home like a young boy named Joshua, and he's kind of injured, and you don't know the whole story there, like why he brought him home, but eventually they kind of grow up together, Estelle and Joshua, and they're like kind of best friends, but at the same time, like, they kind of have this brother and sister relationship going on, but not really, because they're not, you know, related by blood or anything. There's kind of a romantic kind of interest between the two of them that kind of grows throughout the game, and I like how they handled that. But basically, the main gist of the story, you're kind of exploring this massive world, and in the beginning of the game, you're trying to become bracers as a part of a bracers guild, which are kind of like, I don't know, they kind of help citizens and, you know, take on quests and things like that. And the main story of the game basically is going through the towns and kind of raising your bracer status and getting recommendations to you know, you finish your bracer training pretty early on in the game, but you're trying to, you know, get to the high bracer levels and become like a full-fledged bracer, Estelle and Joshua. And the game's got this epic scope. The world building is fantastic. And there's like kind of mini stories for each town you enter. There's the overarching story, I think, really is becoming bracers while taking on these different quests that you get throughout the town. And then the real story doesn't really come up until the very end. I think this second game is when this story is gonna get pretty intense and have a lot of revelations. And things like that, but like I said before, it's a very lighthearted story. It's still fascinating, even though it's kind of basic. And I think what kind of propels you through the game are the characters themselves. It's not just Estelle and Joshua throughout the game. You're finding other characters that you bring along with you in your party, and they'll join and leave you at random times. Estelle is kind of a very like cheery, I guess just a very cheery, happy, outgoing character, and she's really a great character. A lot of the characters in this game do have like their cliches to them, but they're like the writing for this game is so great, and the characters are just, you really get to know these characters and really enjoy them. Joshua is a bit more of like the quiet, reserved, strong-willed type, but he's got some darkness in him as well. And then there's other characters. One of my favorite character is Olivier, which I thought it was Oliver at first, but when you read his name, it's actually Olivier. He's kind of like somewhat of a flamboyant character that has like he's got a lot of musical talent. He's always after the ladies, and he's got this really like interesting dialogue. I don't really want to spoil that character too much, but he's awesome. Every time he was in the game, it was great. In fact, all the characters are great in this game. I couldn't say there's a single character I disliked in this game. Like, they're all fantastic. The villain characters are fantastic as well. This game is a very talky game. I must admit, there's a lot of dialogue in this game. It's very story-driven, really. So that might turn some people off. The prologue sequence, it's divided into chapters, and the prologue sequence is very long and very drawn out. In fact, if I do have a complaint about the game, I think it's almost a bit too long-winded. I don't think it needed to be as long as it is. But at the same time, it helps with the world building. This world in Trails of the Sky is quite well developed, and the characters are well developed as well. And that's where I found most of, that was what I was interested in most, was the world itself. But the characters and story are great too. So definitely one of the high points of the game, I'd say, which it kind of needed to be too, considering just how much dialogue there is in this game. Gameplay-wise, it's a very standard kind of JRPG. You move from town to town, taking on quests. And you've got your main quest, and then there's like side quests that you can take on at the Bracer guilds, which these are simple, like hunt down this monster, or like talk to this NPC and do this for this NPC. But the NPCs are really good in this game, where they each, like every NPC I thought was very interesting and felt like a real person, not just like a text dump. Which I liked. And a lot of the quests have you meeting these NPCs, and the side quests themselves are very enjoyable. They give you like money that you can use to buy weapons and armor and stuff like that, as well as bracer points, which like is used towards your bracer rank, which 1 is the highest. I think you start off at 8 or something like that. I only ended up getting to bracer rank 2, but I guess if you do all the side quests, you get to the highest rank. Every rank you gain, you get like a new skill, which I'll talk about that with the skill system and actually the battle system in general. Because other than that, it's just basically going from town to town, going through dungeons and stuff like that. It's your basic JRPG progression. The world map, it's not like a pick your location on a giant map. You've got like pathways between each town. The game is there's a lot of like forest areas in this game, but there's no like Arctic area or underwater area. Like, I found the environment variety was there wasn't too much variety in the environments, but at the same time, this world felt more realistic in that way. In the sense that there really is only like these forest paths connecting these environments. Like, it's I don't know, the world just felt very authentic to me. It didn't feel like your typical JRPG world, where you can be like in a forest, and all of a sudden you're in an Arctic place. This game felt, the world felt very real to me, which I liked, even though the environment variety isn't too great. But the battle system, It's your basic kind of turn-based battle system. It's got like a kind of like a grid going on, where you have like you can move your characters into certain positions, and enemies can like hit your characters and they'll get pushed back. And if your enemy's too far away and you use the attack option and you run up to the enemy, depending on that character's like stats, they might not be able to reach the enemy and pull off an attack, so you might have to wait till the next turn. If you got your turn order on the left side of the screen, you can tell when enemies are going to attack and when your characters are going to attack. They can get bonuses on different turns, like strength and defense bonuses and magic bonuses. You've got your magic. You've got like your crafts, which are determined by this, I think it's, what's it called, like CP, where every time you attack enemies, the CP goes up to 100, and you can use like your craft attacks, which are like, 20 CP, 30 CP, and they're like stronger attacks. If you get that CP meter up to 100, you can pull off like a special move, which those are always really fun to use. Outside of the battle system, to get magic, it's to do with quartz. Like when you fight enemies, you get like different elemental quartz, like fire, wind, and stuff. And you've got slots on your characters, so you put your different quartz in those slots. So if you say combine like 3 blue quartz into 3 different slots in a character, that might give you a wide range of aqua spells. So a lot of like hard-hitting aqua spells, and then healing spells and revival spells. And there's different combinations of quartz to get your different attacks, and that's where a lot of the customization comes in with this game. So it was, to me, it was really fun kind of messing around with the different combinations and seeing what kind of spells that you could get your characters to have. And you kind of unlock slots by using these quartz that you get in battle. You don't get actual money in battle. The only way to get money is to sell stuff or do side quests, which makes side quests very valuable. Yeah, you definitely got to do them if you want to get new weapons and armor at the shops. There's cooking in this game. I didn't use it much. It kind of it operates similar to the Tales games, where you like, you get like a recipe, and then if you have certain materials to craft that recipe, it will give you like a health bonus and maybe revive a character or whatever. I didn't use it because recipes and food ingredients in general were really expensive, and it's like I'd rather take the money I earned and buy weapons and armor and than use food. But it's there if you want it. The battle system, I guess what else is there to talk about the battle system? I mean, it's like I said, it's a very basic turn-based battle system, but a lot of it has to do with positioning and turn orders. It's fun. I like it. It didn't blow my mind or anything. It's probably my least favorite part of the game overall, especially when you consider that the battles get really long at times. And I started to get a little tired of it after a while. Like, this wasn't a game I could play for like extended sessions. Like the battle system eventually did get on my nerves a bit. The game's got this interesting thing where, now this is going to be a love it or hate it thing. I actually really appreciated this. Some people are going to hate it. Where if you lose a battle, you can immediately retry it. And what that does is lowers the difficulty of that battle. All the enemies will do less damage, you do more damage. And this stacks the more you retry a battle. So basically, this essentially gets rid of any challenge in the game. Granted, your first fight against these bosses, especially towards the end of the game, are going to be rough. And this game is actually pretty tough if it wasn't for this retry feature. I mean, the enemies do a lot of damage in this game, and I died quite often. But because of this retry option, the game still felt super easy to me. Now, some people aren't going to like this. Now, I guess what you could do is if you lose a battle, you could quit and then load your save. You can save anywhere in this game, by the way, which I loved. But for me, I just retried it, and I liked this because, honestly, I thought this game, it was almost a bit too tough for me towards the end. Like, the final gauntlet of bosses just destroyed me. Like, I'm not sure I could have done it if this retry option didn't exist. And in terms of grinding, you can't really grind. Experience gain, basically, if you're a few levels higher than the enemies, you'll all of a sudden get like 1 or 2 experience per battle. So they make sure you can't grind, other than getting like quartz. Which, if you wanted to go to like the Orbment shops, where you can buy the different elemental quartz, they're really expensive. It takes a while to get the the highest level quartz abilities. But yeah, the retry option, that's going to be a love it or hate it thing. I personally really enjoyed it. I'm glad that's in there. I hope that's in the second chapter. I'd imagine it is, but yeah, I don't know if there's much else to say about the gameplay. I mean, it's your typical JRPG. Movement speed is super fast. This is, I guess, moving on to the graphics. This is a Falcom game, so it's the engine. I want to say it's the Ys Oath and Felghana engine. Correct me if I'm wrong there. It's an engine used in some of the newer Ys games, and it's an engine I really like. It's, you know, the environments are really nice. The game is really zippy. I mean, you run around town so fast, which I love. And you know, text goes by really fast. You know, the animations are fantastic. You know, in battle, like the magic attacks are absolutely breathtaking. This game's got just a really nice 2D look to it that I really like. You know, the graphics aren't mind-blowing anything, but I definitely enjoy them. And you got to remember, this is like you know, it's all in HD too. Like the Steam version is in HD, and I think the game looks great. It is a 2004 game. The game came out originally in 2004, so it's aged a bit, but I still like the look of it. Which actually probably isn't the Ys Oath and Felghana engine. It's probably one of the older Ys games, but it still looks great. Audio-wise, no voice acting. Other than like battle voices, which those are fine. So I guess mainly the music. I've heard a lot of people praise the soundtrack in this game. I don't know. I gotta say, I wasn't really blown away by it. None of the music is bad, but nothing really stuck with me. In fact, I couldn't. I don't know. I don't think a single track in this game really impressed me. It's, you know, it's all good. Music. It's quite a bit different than like the Ys soundtracks, which are very like rock and roll, like very electric and, you know, fast paced. And I really enjoy the soundtracks in Ys games. This soundtrack is a bit more eclectic. There's some like jazzy songs. Like the battle system is very like jazzy. It's weird. I don't know if it quite fit for me though. I like the battle theme, but it's so like jazzy and not like, I don't know, it's such a weird song for a battle system. But then there's like some like slower, more melodic songs. There isn't really any like a really electric, hard-hitting, fast-paced songs like there are in the Ys games. So it's definitely a different soundtrack, and one that definitely fits the more, you know, the type of game this is as opposed to the Ys games. But I don't know, the soundtrack didn't really blow me away or anything. But yeah, that's about it for the audio. But yeah, honestly, I think that about covers it with this game. You know, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it. You know, it's one of those games that's just very, you know, the characters are just so endearing, the story is endearing, and that cliffhanger definitely makes me want to play the next part. I'm glad I played through this. At the same time, though, I don't know if I love this as much as some other people do. I know a lot of people consider this like one of the best RPGs of all time. I don't think I'd go that far. Granted, we'll have to wait until second chapter comes out, because I think if you take this, I think there's a third part too, but I don't think we're getting that. I don't think that really. Someone tell me what the third chapter is about. I've heard it's like just has like character background stuff and world background stuff, and it doesn't have an actual story. It doesn't actually continue. Like the second part I've heard is the actual ending to this series. But I think once I play the second chapter, I'll probably take the two games as a whole, and then I'll probably think more highly of it. But for this game, this game didn't blow me away or anything. I mean, it's overall a great JRPG. I'm glad I played it, with my only complaints really being like the battle system not being anything unique, and then the game, in my opinion, being a bit too long. Plenty of content for those that are want to go for it. 100%ing this game would probably take forever. I mean, there's tons of quests. I'm sure I missed a bunch of shit. But yeah, Trails in the Sky, great game. If you haven't played it, definitely check it out on Steam or the Vita. Definitely worth like the $20 it goes for on either system. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.